Yes, and good morning, everybody. Yes, you're right. It is Thanksgiving week. Hello, hope you all are doing well. Had a good weekend. Wasn't too bad of a weekend, right? Decent amount of sunshine overall. A bit cool at times, but overall, I think it was a very pleasant weekend. Saw a lot of folks taking advantage of the nice weather and trying to get most of their decor up for the holiday season there. You still got some time. In fact, the trend is you're about to see here for even for Thanksgiving and for the day after, for Black Friday, is trending milder. So not exactly warm, but not exactly to the point where you're going to freeze your hands off. It'll be very similar, actually, to what we just went through for this past Saturday and Sunday. So that's some good news. If you want to use the traditional time, which did not look to be the case even a week ago, like it would be certainly a good 10 degrees off where we are now currently forecast our numbers to be. So what's going on? That's probably your main question. And is there any chance to see any snowfall? Well, tell you what, this is not a pattern that you, if you're for a snow lover, you're going to like. I can tell you that right now. It's all about an active storm track that starts to develop, but there's just not a lot of cold air to grab a hold of. There's some, but it's not quite to that point yet. Maybe it's still the signal for, later into the season is the main one that we're focused on for the year. That may be still the main one. Anything between now and then, I think, is going to be likely considered any kind of bonus type of event on any wintry weather, because the warm air signal is still overall overpowering for the lower 48. And it still looks cold just north of here, but it doesn't matter if it's cold north of here if it's not cold here. That is the key player, right? So let me start with the snowboard, and I'll kind of explain all my gibberish this spat out. First off, there's one item on there. One. And it's very minor. It's the chance at a light mix if it's in the morning hours, and that would be a week from today. We'll see. Right now, it's looking borderline. Anything after that, confidence is low. Doesn't mean there's not any additional systems that could get our attention. It's just the confidence is too low to even put him certainly within the 2-week window on this particular update. And we're entering certainly a setup where if there's anything that's going to show up that could start to develop any kind of wintry weather, it likely will not show up in the long term without any cold air source. It's going to be unlikely to show up. Those are the ones that show up in the short term, almost like within a 36-hour heads up. Oh, guess what? We got something on the way. Those kind of moments. That's what we're at least in the ballpark of for the next few weeks. It's not guaranteed, though, of course. But let me kind of walk you through how we're going to get there. And before we do, it's important to note that we've got to cover the rain. This is the bigger story. I was debating on doing just a flat-out rain talk only today because it's such an exciting setup to get rain finally here that I think that is more appeasing to most people than snow would be for right now, because I think we need this, right? We need this kind of reset to get some rain into the ground. The last rain event underperformed in a big way, only about 1/10 of an inch, and some of you not even a drop of rain out of that wave. So we need to make some ground up here. This system looks to be the one to certainly do it. We've got temperatures now running into the 40s and 50s. We'll have a very slow, modest climb today. Majority of the climb in the thermometer actually happen later tonight into your Tuesday. So we'll get only about an 8-degree or so difference than where we are. There's not a huge fluctuation because the air is getting saturated as I'm talking to you guys. So as it saturates, there will be a slight little drop or holding steady on these numbers here. But once we get humidity levels up, we get to the 100%, then you'll see the thermometer hold steady. And then it's the south humid flow that will flow in that will then take the thermometer and move it back up again. And that will happen tonight into early Tuesday before the air dries back out. And therefore, the thermometer has a chance to drop with a colder north wind. Hope that makes sense. So in other words, again, only about a 10-degree fluctuation at best on the thermometer here for the next 36 hours. So relatively easy going on that side of things. Okay, the radar, I'm having to show you a collage of radars because the radar officially for Louisville, which is located in Fort Knox, went down at 7:30 this morning. Bad timing. It had one job all autumn. And then the day it rained, it's like, no, you know what? I'm just going to break. So the Weather Service is working on it. Their technicians are out there trying to figure out how to get it back online, hopefully very soon. So we have other backup radars around our region to tap into, but you're seeing a collage of all those now. So we're not without being able to see the rain. We can. It's just those finer details do look good to analyze when you have the one beam at Fort Knox. So I just thought it was ironic the day that actually rains, it goes down. Anyway, here we go with the rain band now moving into Fort Knox, Meade County, Breckenridge County, Hardin County. That is now moving into Louisville. So yes, it will be some wet roads here for the late morning, midday hours. Then it'll break again, then back up again at times this afternoon. Majority of the rain is tonight. There's the low pressure. Really, look at that low spinning. Really firing up some rain, even some thunder trying to eventually form here in central Arkansas. And this is going to track right across Evansville, very close to Louisville and Cincinnati. I mean, it's going to be zipping very close to our region as we get into tonight. And about this time tomorrow when I'm on here, it should be very close to us, if not already just east of I-65 at that point. Most of this, you can see, is green. Don't pay attention to that blue or the white that's showing up there on the leading edge. That's just a false echo because the air is so dry. It's causing the thermometer to drop, so the radar is thinking it's snowing. And it likely is way above, but it's too dry to reach the ground. But majority of what you see is indeed rain. Gives you an idea of how the system's going to play out, right? Any severe weather is going to likely stay way to our south. This isn't a big story for Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. Certainly not strangers to severe weather in the past year, but it's been a while. Almost 5 months that they've had to deal with any kind of warnings getting issued. So it's been quiet, but this is going to get a bit noisy for them way down to the south. There's actually an enhanced risk that you can't see off the screen. For us, thunder, I do think, is going to be on the table, but no, not anything on the severe side. The good news is the fuel and the timing of this being tonight, all that works against us to keep not only a severe threat tame, but even the strongest of the winds, which could easily get over 40 miles per hour. But because of the way the rain band will set up and being a nighttime setup tonight, overall, that is going to play in our favor to keep most of the winds, the strongest, just above the tree line. But still, some gusty winds. You got the inflatables up. It's a conflicting setup. I'm in the same boat, too, with my inflatable. I'm like, well, I don't like when the water pools all over it and you end up with a setup where the inflatable tries to inflate the next day and it struggles because of the weight of the water. It's really hard on that blower, I've noticed. And two, if you want to keep it inflated while it's raining tonight, then you get a battle of the wind, and it's a risk that with the ground getting wet, that the stakes come out, and then there goes your inflatable down the street. So just kind of bounce it out. You know how you set it up. Go with what you feel best at. All right, severe threat tomorrow, southeast into the Carolinas, low end threat. So again, all that's to our south. So here it is on Futurecast. Futurecast is doing okay, not the greatest, but in general, tonight is the main influx of rain that will move in. So it is going to be messy tonight. If you work third shift, second shift, just be aware the roads are going to be a mess. They were already a mess this morning and we didn't have any rain. So just be careful traveling for tomorrow morning's commute. The back edge of the heavier rain should be starting to ease back during tomorrow morning's commute, at least the 7, 8 o'clock hour in the morning. It should start to end and shut down for a while, but up until that point, it's going to be messy. So just be careful heading out. Once that moves on by, could even see maybe 1 or 2 little hints of sun, but then the clouds fill back in, and can't run an isolated shower. As far as anything heavy after that point, after that morning wave tomorrow, there's not a whole lot showing up. It'd be very light, like a drizzle type of scenario, but not much is going to add too much to the rain total. And the cold air takes a while to settle in. We don't go into a clear sky. We got some dry air, but not a clear sky, so you don't have a good radiational cooling setup. So the thermometer, it'll get cool or chilly, but I wouldn't say cold. We're missing some things here on that. That plays in a little more as we head into Wednesday night, Thanksgiving morning. Then we'll have a chance to drop. The travel looks good, by the way, here. Then we'll have a chance to drop into early Thanksgiving morning. Be chilly. Rainfall amounts. Overall, a lot of the modeling loves the 1 inch mark. Some are about 1.5 inches. Yeah, I've seen some of the models go up to 2 inches. I think that may be a bit high because, A, it's betting on the idea that we're not going to lose some of this at the leading edge of the rain due to the dry air. And 2, it's also betting on some thunder getting in the mix, so heavier rates. That will make the difference on probably about 1/2 inch, yes, in some cases. So that's where you're probably going to get your amounts that'll show up in some of the modeling of a little closer to 2 inches. But the majority, an average of it all, 1 inch is fair, especially for the central portion here, wave country, including Louisville. So this, again, will happen tonight, early tomorrow. And don't worry about those lines staying on there. It's just pay attention where it reaches the high point. That's what you need to watch right and through there. And that's where most of the modeling has been averaging out. Okay, so what's the deal with this system? Well, by the way, it really doesn't phase until now, New England, if at best. That's a big issue. Last week we were seeing the phasing. What was it here? And then it was over here. And then we saw it over here. And that made the forecast all over the place for this week on rain versus some flurries, cold weather for the shoppers, cold wind chills, setting the stage for a system for next weekend that could give rain or snow, especially on that Saturday. The changes since I last saw you guys on Friday, this is what I mean when we disappear on Fridays, that things can change big time by the time I see you all on Monday. And they did. The phasing is very laggy on this at the last minute. So this system is mainly a rain one that comes on by, has nothing to pull down on cold weather until it gets to the east. And then they'll try to get some colder weather. They'll dive down at the end of the weekend. So that's the reason why everything trended up on temperature. But that's good. We want everyone to be safe with Halloween for the Thanksgiving setup. So that's good on the travel side. Okay, so what happens after that? Well, there is another wave that does show up that moves in across the southern part of the country. The timing on the one Friday into Saturday still looks more south. GFS keeps wanting to turn it up and graze us with showers on Saturday. I know we got the Governor's Cup on Saturday. What's the time? That time was set for noon, right? There at the LNN. But the Euro and overall the pattern fits idea. This is probably going to be a southern wave. So I don't see right now being a huge issue for the Governor's Cup. But that's one of our forecast challenges for the week is monitoring that. Otherwise, there is another one right in behind it that moves in at the end of the holiday weekend. This is where you get the light mix potential. Most of your cold air is locked in here. That's not going to move. That's not going to move. It's going to be the Great Lakes, the Midwest, Northern Plains, Central Plains in some cases. Your storm track is here, Texas into the Carolinas. Anything wintry is going to be right where the two try to meet up. But you're really going to have to be a little deeper into that cold air, more north, in other words, to really see anything on the wintry side. Right on the edge this time of the year in late November, it's really tough. Usually it's going to be a rain setup. But that's the storm track that should hold for about, I would say, 7 or 8 days. That'll be the dividing line. Storm track here, south, cold air, north, or right in between. You can get some little small mixes or changeovers that can happen at night, but majority of those would be rain. The Euro, again, trying to fold in a little bit of snow into the Great Lakes. I wouldn't worry about this. It's got it here Monday night. Don't see that really being an issue. That's going to be a lake effect type of issue to our east. And then we roll on out with another wave that's going to do the same thing. Cold air is going to try to dive in right into here. Here comes another low pressure. It's going to take a nearly identical track. It's going to be fairly quick in its motion. Heading to the east, got to watch these 850 lows on the back end here where you can get a little bit of a changeover or dynamic cooling. That's always possible in these setups. But again, those never show up until the very last minute when the system's knocking on your door. And if that's November 30th, we got a while. Got a while for to worry about that one. So what's the deal? Well, when looking in longer term, you see the cold air tries to break free, but overall, it's just kind of cycling around the polar vortex. Keeps trying to re-strengthen, actually. Weakens, re-strengthens. No real sign yet of a huge disruption in the vortex. One thing we'll be watching is, remember the wind. We need what we call the zonal wind at that area. We need it to relax, and it wants to, but it's got to relax. Here's the outlook, and you see overall the modeling is kind of up and down on this, but we need to get it. Some of these members were trying to take it down, but we need that wind to go downward. If you relax the wind here at the pole, you'll be able to get a warming effect at the pole, which would then allow for the cold air to be on the move and head somewhere. Doesn't always mean it's going to be in North America, but the odds usually are fairly good that it will be. So that's where, again, if we're looking for the cold winter stuff, the brutal cold, once you see this reverse or at least weaken in the polls, again, you got to give it about a week or two to show up. It's not there yet. There's signs of it. This is only through the 5th of December, so I'm not really surprised. We're not seeing it yet. We typically don't this early. It's pretty rare to see it this early, to be honest. But if it does show up in mid-November or mid-December, as some other modeling has been trying to hint at, that would mean colder air toward Christmas and the New Year's. But got to see that signal first. We need this to start diving down very soon to have a little more faith on that outlook. Right now, I do not. Right now, I think the warmer flow is likely to be one of the winners on that. And you look at even the MJO, not to get too deep into this, but it is going into phase 2 and 3 in the outlook for the Matt and June oscillation. Phase 2 and 3, well, if you look over here to the right, if you can see, it's actually 2, 3, and 4. We go from a colder setup into warmer and warmer. It says colder in the southeast in the last one on 4, but that's rain-induced cold overall, clouds and rain. That's the reason why for the southeast corner. So not a whole lot showing up that's overly exciting here, guys. Sorry about that. Angela, I do not want Siberia here. We don't. And that's the thing. We're tracking that, the weakening of the wind at the pole there. But if we were to get that, it doesn't always mean snow. I'm just tracking two separate issues. I'm tracking the storm track. I've said track a lot. And I'm tracking the cold air source. You don't really want that to dive all the way down into the lower 48 because then it's cold and dry. Ooh, that's miserable. And then it's the Florida Panhandle that gets the snowstorms. So you want it to move. You want it to be closer to us. Get some snow down in the northern plains. Get it down the Great Lakes. Get it down in the upper Midwest. Lay that snowpack down to where we can get interesting systems in our area. But otherwise, it can be a brutal cold step. So there's not really a big plus on seeing this move very much at all. So I agree with you on that. We don't want it brutally cold here. Just cold enough, like 30s, 20s and 30s. I think everyone would be all right. You can still drive around on that. All right, everyone looks good. Kevin, I hope I answered your question on the game for Saturday. Right now, as long as that southern piece, the first of 2 for the weekend, stays south, the second one will be more Sunday to Monday anyway, if it were to have a little more of an impact on our weather. So it would be after the game. So that's our main focus. I promise this week we'll be watching that, make sure everyone gets to Lexington and everyone traveling within Louisville can get there safely. We'll be watching that. For you travelers on Wednesday, it looks good, as I mentioned. Tomorrow, not the best. A lot of wind, messy roads. So if you want to wait until Tuesday night even, won't be bad. Wednesday doesn't look bad at all. Sunday coming back, the only thing to worry about there would be the Midwest. If you got Chicago as part of your connection to come back on Sunday, monitor that second wave because even snow showers there could cause some delays trying to get back from Sunday into Monday to get back into Louisville there. So kind of be aware of that. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. That's enough rambling for a Monday. Whew. let's get to this rain. I want to see your rain totals, guys. So send those in. Certainly about tomorrow when I see you guys, we're going to talk about that. See how much you guys actually picked up. And new longer-term data does come in tonight. So will it back up everything that I'm seeing so far today, or will it try to throw a curveball and add yet another gray hair to my head? Stay tuned.